Hi guys, this week I had the absolute honor of interviewing CODY, also known as CODY the Jokester on Instagram, and we got into a plethora of really good and insightful things. In this interview, CODY talks about how he got started traveling, how to do things that scare you. We talked about the different kinds of jobs that he's done and how he continues to make money to fund his travels, social media and how that plays into being a digital nomad these days, and we talked about his influencer friends and what he's learned from them on how to grow on social media. So this has been one of my favorite interviews, and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did. Thanks for watching. Let's get into it. What was your life like before you started traveling? Because you didn't just start with like hitchhiking, right? You started like doing like cross country travel. Am I correct in
Um,
that?
I didn't really like I grew up traveling like once a year. My family, like my mom would like save up all of her money to go on like one trip.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never like not until like a year and a half ago I did my first solo trip.
Wow.
So I've like and then since then I've been kind of traveling for the past year nonstop,
Yeah,
except like 3 months of work. But yeah.
that's cool.
So yeah, I guess like to answer your question, what was my life like before? All I was doing was going to school, working, and sleeping.
Yeah.
Like that was my life. I went through my first like depressive stage of life. I was very depressed because all I was doing was like working, going to school, and sleeping. Like I had
Mm-hmm.
no fun. Like like I wasn't doing anything other than those three things. And I was like super scared to do anything alone. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
even go to the grocery shop or like the grocery store without my buddy like tagging along. Like that's how bad I was like
Really?
in terms of like reliant on others to do things.
So like
So,
what like helped you make that transition? Like what point did you get to in that like codependent, depressive, working all the time state to like deciding to go and just travel?
well, I kind of like had all this money and I was like so money driven and like I kind of came to the realization what's the point in having so much money if you're not going to use it? And it's like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna wait until like I'm 65 and then I'll be retired and then I'll have this money and then I can do it. But like after witnessing and like hearing about like over six people I knew like passing away like before the age of 18,
Oh wow.
it like made me realize like, yo, like we aren't like guaranteed till 65. Like what's the point in waiting all this time to do those things you've always wanted to do if we could die tomorrow? Like we could cross the street and get hit by a car. We can be driving and get hit by someone else's car. Like our lives are in other people's hands on a daily basis. Un it's out of your control to like survive until you're 85. It's like if something happens, it happens, you know. So
Right.
kind of having that realization made me like be like, okay, like, am I happy with what my life is like right now? And I looked at my life and I was like, I'm not. And I'm like, what do I want my life to be like? And I'm like, I want to experience life. I want to travel. But I was so scared to do that because like I just couldn't do anything alone at the time. And the kind of like the turning point for me, it's kind of silly. There was a Jack Johnson concert I really wanted to go to. And none of my friends wanted to go.
Yeah.
And so I didn't go to the concert. And it was only like $10. Like it wasn't like expensive, like super cheap concert, whatever. But I really wanted to go to this concert, but since I never found anyone to go with me, I didn't go. And then that's when I was like realizing like I can't just keep on waiting on other people to do things. Like I got to start doing things like on my own.
Right. That's
I don't
like
know if
that's
that
really
answers
beautiful
your
realization.
question.
Yeah, no, that was perfect. I had a similar realization because I grew up and I had a lot of people tell me that I was a really observant kid And I'm an introvert and I tend not to talk a lot. I really do tend to just kind of like listen and observe what's happening
Hmm.
around me. And I noticed that a lot of the people that were telling me as a kid that I needed to like get really good grades and um, get scholarships and all this and get a good job so I could have a long career were people that were living lives that I really didn't feel aligned with. And to me,
Hmm.
they didn't seem to be truly fulfilled. So there was always a weird like dissonance growing up. And I wasn't a super like engaged kid in school, like all the way up into high school, just because I felt like I just kind of felt like it was a waste of time. And I'd always be thinking like, okay, there are so many better things that I could be doing, or there are better ways that we can learn and stuff like that. But I think a lot of that has to do with me having ADHD. But I feel you with the whole we could die tomorrow thing. And the thing that I'm the most scared of in life is not death necessarily, but it's being on my deathbed and feeling regret because I didn't do that thing that I wanted to do. And it really kind of came to a head over the summer when I did my internship at a tech company. And I just was kind of surrounded by people who were so motivated by just having a solid and like stable career. And to me, I just kind of felt like my soul was dying in that environment, and it really scared me. So it was kind of like being in San Francisco was a bit of a blessing in that way, though, because on the West Coast, you have so many places where you can just like go along like just the one, So it's like driving up the coast and down the coast every single weekend and
Yeah.
experiencing all these beautiful places. And I'm so glad that I did that because I think I found myself when I was doing that, and I saw other people doing it too. And I thought, well, I could just do this full time. Like, I feel so much happier doing this and just like eating, I don't know, like tofu that I cooked in my car than I do going to these super fancy restaurants with like all these other interns. And I realized like, okay, well, if this is the case, if doing this makes me feel truly fulfilled, then this is what I'm gonna pour everything into. Um, I have all of this energy that I've been pouring into being the best like software engineering intern that I possibly can be for what? And I realized, okay, well, if I have all this, energy and talent that can go here, then why not just put it there into doing something, into doing the thing that I actually want to do? And that's what made me like completely go into just wanting to travel and shift my life into that and building a community. So that's kind of like partially why I wanted to start doing this interview series because like I want to learn even more from people that are actually doing it, how I can do it better and how I can like share that information. Okay. So
That's awesome.
thank you. Yeah, it
When
definitely
when did
feels
you
good.
when did you like is this just a recent like traveling like thing? Like did you just start traveling like for the first time recently? Like is this like a
Yeah, pretty
like because
much.
I saw you started posting like a couple months ago or whatever, and then like
Yeah,
talking about traveling, like living out of your Kia Soul and like doing
totally.
the Kia Soul life. But so like was that your first introduction to travel, or have you traveled before?
I've I've traveled before, but never like that. And I think
Hmm.
the way that I would distinguish the travel that I've done before is the travel I've done before has been like vacationing with my family. Whereas
Yeah.
when you're vacationing, you're like going to a place and it's luxurious and you have this itinerary of stuff that you're gonna do. And vacationing is like I guess like a separation from your regular slog of everyday life. Where what I was doing when I was traveling, it was like nothing was planned. I was just, I looked at a place and I was like, oh, I want to go there. And I would just go and then figure out where I was sleeping like that night. Like whether it was in, a forest on BLM land or just like on a mountain or something, or even in the middle of a city. But yeah, that's really, that was my first time traveling like that. And I'd never been out of the country. Well, actually, I had. I'd been to the Bahamas on like a cruise, and that was okay. But that kind of traveling where I was just like taking my Kia, sleeping in it, going to all these cool places, cooking in the Kia. It just felt like totally different and way more it it just felt a lot more true to the kind of lifestyle that I wanted to live. Because even when I would travel with my family as a kid, I wasn't really into the whole like luxurious excursions and nice hotels and stuff. Like it was nice, but for me personally, I found a lot more fulfillment in literally just being in Yosemite and sitting in the meadow in front of El Cap and just like looking at people, in El Capitan with like old ladies eating sandwiches behind me talking about their climbing days back in the 70s. Like that to me was just like, okay, this is literally exactly what I want. I wish I could do this every day. So that's yeah, that's the kind of the traveling that I really like, as opposed to like the luxurious uh vacationing kind of stuff that I grew up doing.
I can
So
relate with that a lot.
yeah,
That's
yeah, I think it's the way, honestly, especially if you're young. Like if you're older, I can get just wanting to take a vacation, but when you're young and you just want to get out there and experience everything, it's like it's there's nothing like it. It's awesome. All right, so you told me that you had a job before and you like saved a bunch of money. Is are you like coasting on savings from that job still, or do you like work in between your travels now, or how do you fund your travels today?
so a little bit of everything. I did have like my first trip was solely on savings. I did like 6 months in Asia,
Hmm.
and that was all just from my savings account. Um, and then I like resell a lot when I'm back home, like
Hmm.
find discounted goods and then sell them for more, pretty much. And then also, uh, I had like an online business with a business partner at the time,
I didn't
and
know
that was making
that.
money. What was that?
I didn't know that. That's so cool. Wait, tell me more about that
Yeah.
business.
We did like custom vinyl and CD work for people, and also like had a manufacturer we worked with that would do all the shipping and handling for us. So it was like a drop ship business.
Oh, that's really cool. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But my business partner tried to like screw over everything, so we
Oh.
uh shut down the company. So I don't that's why I said I used to have a business.
Nice.
But yeah, so that was bringing in money, and then once he tried to like screw things over, what's it called? We dissolved the company and just like liquidated it, and then I took out the money we had left in the bank account and then used that to travel as well. And then I also worked as a server at a restaurant, and that's what I was like doing for 3 months, just working as a server because you make good tips and then also hourly, so you make at least like 30 to $50 an hour. So it's a decent. You can't really get that for most jobs. So unless you have like a very specific degree or like if you have a degree or like skill set that's valuable. So and then I
Right.
also work in sales. So that's also a way I make like a good amount of money because I'm a very good salesman. And then I've been starting to post on social media,
Yeah,
and
you've
then brands are
been
starting to
killing it
reach
with the
out to
social media
me.
game.
So that will be hopefully making me more money soon. So,
Yeah.
but I just got like a company that's like a phone provider. They're giving me a free service plan for traveling, so that will save me money. And I'm not like making money, but it's saving me money, so
Wait, that's really
that's
cool.
cool.
How did you hook that up?
Oh, they DM'd me,
Wow.
so
That's cool.
I was very lucky for that. So they give me a year of free data. So whenever I travel now, I don't need to buy an eSIM, so that's nice.
That's so
Well,
cool. That's one of the cool things I've noticed about um like just kind of putting your life out there. Like I've had brands reach out to me too when I had a lot less followers as well. And
yeah, you
it's
have a bigger
crazy.
following than me, so I wouldn't be surprised if you have a bunch of people reaching out to you.
Yeah, I mean, not as much as I did over the summer because I was doing a lot of Like every weekend I'd go somewhere crazy and then just post about that. And now I'm just kind of like here in Arkansas. But
Yeah.
it's it's kind of crazy how when you just put yourself out there where people, brands, or just people will reach out to you and opportunities will just arise. I didn't expect that to happen when I started posting. And because I started posting,
Yeah.
like just people and brands or whoever just reached out to me and were like, "Oh, this is really cool. This is helping me," or "This is, would you like this free product?" It's it really like
Yeah.
kind of expanded my worldview and made me realize like, okay, well, if I just develop my skill set on this posting thing even more, then that can just grow exponentially. And it makes much more
Hmm.
sense to do that and do the thing that I love and spend way less money as opposed to doing this thing that I don't love, which is like doing software engineering for a huge company that doesn't really have a face and doesn't know my name, you know?
Yeah.
Makes all the sense to
And you
do
can make good
what I
money
love.
from social media. Like I have a lot of influencer friends and like once you hit 10K, like I've heard of people charging $3,000 for a video. It's like just for like one
Okay,
brand.
I didn't
And
know
it's like,
that. Wow.
yeah, it's like, I mean, it's really just like you're negotiating and stuff like that with the brand. And like also if it's like a small company, like for example, the phone provider company I'm working with, they just launched, they're like a startup. So they don't really have any money at all. So it's like you can't really tell them, oh yeah, pay me like 3 grand for making a video when they just like they're a small tiny company. But if it's like a bigger company, like $3,000 is like, oh yeah, only $3,000, okay. Like
Yeah.
um,
Wow.
it's crazy. Like
That
hearing
is
like my
crazy.
my buddies like I have like friends that have like over $100,000 and they charge $7,000 for one video.
Oh, wow.
It's like
That's
wild.
wild. That,
But so there's like definitely like you can make a career out of it and everything. It's like I think people like realize like in this day and age with our technology, we can do whatever we want. We're very lucky in that sense.
we absolutely can. I think we live in one of the coolest parts in history where it's, I think, the easiest for anyone who has a phone and internet access to make a living traveling and just posting about it online. Like, even if they think they don't have much value to provide to people, because in the beginning, I didn't think I had very much value to provide. I just wanted to find other people like me. And
Yeah.
though, damn, those people came, and it really just kind of really changed my perspective on a lot of things. But I'm glad that you brought up how you have friends who like are able to charge like $7,000 for a video or just like all this stuff just because they put themselves out there and make the content. And I think that for a lot of people, myself included, it's hard to really imagine that when you're just kind of in a place where we've learned that the way to make money like that is to stay in a career at a company or wherever and just let that money slowly accrue by just, providing value to that company. And I think that we're still very much so in the early stages, even though creators have been around on the internet for a while now. But I think we're very much so still in very early stages of
Mm.
making a living, of people making a living on the internet and people like creating entire like educational networks for others. Uh, like we think about learning coming from an institution, but I think that learning is changing in that way where I think people who want to learn a skill are not going to go to a college to learn that skill. They're going to go on the internet and find an influencer who has put their entire process of learning that skill and learn from that person because
Mm.
it's cheaper and more accessible. So I
Yeah.
think that people that are are putting their learning journeys on the internet and are sharing everything they learn with just anyone are setting themselves up for, I think, a really fulfilling and comfortable life, as opposed to just like doing the thing like, okay, well this company pays me the most money and they have the best benefits, so I'm just gonna stick with that. Especially for me, being in tech and software engineering, seeing tech layoffs happening left and right, that's
Right.
extremely
Yeah.
concerning. And I know a lot of my fellow like CS majors and other people who are in software are really concerned about that with the rise of AI, but that's like a whole other conversation. But yeah, I think like for people that are just completely unsure about how to get started traveling and don't know if they should like make content and share that because they have nothing to give, like that's okay because people really are attracted to authenticity and to being vulnerable. And I'm trying to work on that. I'm trying to be more vulnerable with my audience because I feel like, oh, this doesn't look polished enough. I can't post it, but that's
Yeah.
I feel most connected with other creators when they show their like more vulnerable side or like the behind the scenes stuff. So that's
Yeah. I've been working on that as well. Like
yeah,
I've been like
I can
putting my
tell.
captions as like a journal entry and stuff, like type things to like kind of have like a more, I guess, deeper thing. So I don't know. It's like very hard for me to like give that authentic thing because I'm like wanting to put like my best self on display, you know?
Yeah, I absolutely know how you feel. It definitely feels like a very like fine line between being authentic and vulnerable, but also trying to catch people's attention and get more views. Because in order to, especially on Instagram, in order to like get more views, you kind of have to almost have like not clickbaity, but like a hook in a way that like gets people's attention, but it kind of feels at the same time like I don't know, I feel like salesman-y right now, but it's not the intention. I don't know. That's just kind of a thing that I certainly feel. But yeah, authenticity I think is definitely something that people are connecting with right now. And especially in the niche of people, young people wanting to travel in the way that um like Kyle and because like the whole like Marvel universe of people around Kyle travel. Because that's kind of how I got into it. I like started with
Yeah.
Kyle off and I was like, holy shit, this is exactly what I'm trying to do. Because I think from what I've seen, Kyle kind of came from a similar background to me where he was doing like the school thing and doing business and all that and was kind of on track. And then that
Yeah, bro's on Shark Tank.
yeah, he was on fucking Shark Tank. Like dude was doing the thing and it just like it didn't work out and that's life but like he realized okay well this I'm just gonna sell all my shit and just hit the road in my little tiny car, not the van, a car, and just do the thing, and he was by himself. And
Yeah.
seeing that really inspired me because I thought to myself, wow, okay, this whole time I thought I had to have like a big van and I thought I had to build it out in order to do van life and travel and see everything when that's so not the case. And then after watching his content, I looked at my Kia Soul and I was like, wait, I can totally build this out. Like I thought about it before. And I was like, I can
Heck yeah.
totally sleep in this thing. Like, why have I not? Like, I thought about it once before and I was like, no, I can't do that. I need the van. Arrgh. But then I just took some time to figure out like how to sleep in a Kia Soul. And then I figured it out and did it. I was like, wait, okay, yeah, this is totally fine. This is great. And then I did that and shared it and people connected with it. So that's like that's one of the biggest things I've learned is that you don't have to have a huge van or pay all this money to get a huge rig in order to get out there and get a taste of traveling. Like I have the van now because I realized, okay, I want to do this full time, so I got the van.
Yeah. If
But
you can, like, might as well.
yeah, yeah, but I could totally, I could 100% continue doing it in my Kia if I didn't have the van. And in fact, the Kia is way more accessible because I can get places faster and get up mountains easier, and it's just gas is a lot cheaper with it. But yeah, it's getting out there and just doing the thing with the rig that you have is definitely the way. But speaking of rigs and just getting out there, that kind of segues into the next question I wanted to ask you because you just like said, rig, nah, fuck that. I'm just gonna hitchhike where I want to go. So like how did you get into hitchhiking? And what are some like how do I want to ask this? Um, yeah, I guess I'll just ask generally, like, how did you get into hitchhiking specifically, and how has that been?
So how I got into it, I guess, is just like wanting to build my dad lore is like the honest truth.
Yeah.
Um, I thought it would be like a very like I'm a very adrenaline junkie, like adventure spirit type guy. So it's like
Yeah.
you can't really get more adventurous than like hopping in random people's cars all day and like trying to get to a destination you may not arrive to. And
Mhm.
like everything about like hitchhiking is unknown. You don't know who's going to pick you up. You don't know how far you'll get. You don't know where you'll end up. You don't know what situations you're going to come in. It's like a completely like whole nother realm of unknown. And that's kind of like what enticed me to it. And I've met some people and like heard crazy stories from them of things you get. Like for example, when I was in the Philippines, I hitchhiked across an island because
Mhm.
I was like, oh, it'd be so dope to hitchhike across an island. So once I arrived on the island, I like hitchhiked to the other side. And on while I was hitchhiking, I get picked up by this whole family. There's like freaking six people in the car, like four people in the truck, and then four people on the back of the bed, or like whatever, like two people on the back of the bed. And I'm like, oh, like, are you guys all friends and family? And they're like, no, well, like, we're all family. And I'm like, oh, what are you guys all doing, like, hanging out together? There's so many of you. And they're like, we're all going to a funeral. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about your loss. And they're like, it's okay, brother. You want to come? And I'm like, what? So I got invited to a funeral in the Philippines.
Yeah, why not just pull up to a random Filipino funeral?
Yeah, so like that would have never happened if I would have just been like driving a car or like whatever. It's just like crazy things like that happen where it's like unpredictable and just like full adventure. And then like I've met people of all walks of life. Like I've been in the car with like very successful business owners. I've been in the car with people that are homeless or used to be homeless or like ex drug addicts or like whatever, like all nationalities, all sexualities, like every single like type of person I've gotten picked up by,
Yeah.
and like hearing their life story, like their beliefs, what they think, it like kind of opened my eyes because I'm in the process of being found, like I'm figuring myself out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
that
what
that's
better
and then
way?
another thing is like I'm broke, I can't afford to the gas money. I've done almost 10,000 miles now. That would have been like a couple $1,000 just in gas.
Easy. Yeah. Wow.
So
Yeah.
that's another reason why I got into hitchhiking is to save money because it's literally free, like
Yeah,
so
you're like cheat coding it, and that's awesome.
yeah.
I love that for you. And like that's beautiful. It really is beautiful because you're on the process, like you said, of finding yourself. And what better way to do that than to really just kind of throw yourself into the thick of the culture of every place that you're visiting by just being in a car with some random person that decided, oh, I'm just gonna pick up this random person. Why not? And having those
Yeah.
conversations. That's something that I would love to do. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable doing it by myself, but I can see myself doing it with another person. I think Kyle is doing that currently in Europe with Aiden,
Yeah,
and
he did a little bit of hitchhiking.
yeah, that looks awesome. I can see myself doing something
I
like
told
that.
him to. I was like, bro, you gotta hitchhike. He's like, all right,
Yeah,
I'm gonna do
yeah,
it.
yeah. It definitely looked like he was like, oh yeah, yeah. Cody inspired me. Like that's awesome. That's so sick. If you can't tell, I like really am inspired by Kyle, and Kyle goes off. I hope that I can
No,
eventually
Kyle's
make my
awesome.
way into his DMs. I'm trying to like plot how I'm gonna do that, but um, yeah, seems like a real cool guy. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I'm hoping next time he hosts like a group travel event, I'm like gonna jump on that. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, because they look fun. I've been really wanting to find my tribe of people out there. I'm kind of in the issue now where I've done the thing. gone to a bunch of national parks on my own and seen a bunch of places and car camped on my own, and that's beautiful. But I feel like I'm now entering another phase where um you've seen Into the Wild, right? Like surely you've seen Into the Wild. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
Where, right before Chris curls up in his sleeping bag and dies, he writes, happiness not real unless shared. And I've really decided to take that to heart and start sharing my experiences with other people, and not only just like sharing what I've experienced on the internet, but also like literally traveling with other people. And I'd love to be around just people that are doing the same thing and who are kind of on a similar wavelength of just like saying, fuck it, I'm just going to travel and make friends. Because, yeah, like you said, we could die tomorrow. Someone could literally, like, we could get hit by a train tomorrow. You never know.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I really vibe with that. But even just like, it's not even just like Kyle, just like anyone who's doing the thing, traveling, posting about it, sharing that with the people and inspiring other people. That's really what I would like to do. Because that happened to me, and I think that I'm in a much better place because of that. And that's, I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine a more fulfilling life than doing the thing that I've wanted to do since I was a kid and helping other people learn how to do that thing. So just I feel super blessed to be in the place that I'm in now where I can do that. Do you have any advice for people who want to travel like you and to potentially build a following as well?
So piece of advice is similar to what you're saying with the how you started doing van life with the Kia Soul. Like you don't need like a common misconception with like Americans, particularly since like we only get 2 weeks off a year. So when you go on family vacations, it's like they've been saving up all year and then they go big and go all out when they travel. So our perception of travel is it's this thing that's thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
But like you can travel for $0 or like you can travel like the series I'm making right now is how to travel with $5 or less. So like just to show people that you don't need like crazy amounts of money. If you really want to travel, you can do it for any budget. Like you can tent camp, you can use an app called Couchsurfing for free places to stay. And then if you don't want to pay for like flights, you can hitchhike. You can like there's a lot of free transportation for students if you're a college kid. There's free buses a lot of the time. Like you
that's true.
can for food, like I don't know how to get free food other than like rewards programs, but that it requires you to spend money. But you
I've
can do
heard some
ramen.
people just like showing up to hotels like really early when they have the continental
Yeah,
breakfast
the breakfast. Yeah, the
and
breakfast.
doing
Yeah.
that.
Um, but yeah, so it's just like you can travel for as little as you want. But it's just like just be realistic. Like if you want like to travel, if that's all you want to do, you can do it for very cheap. But if you're like, oh no, I'm gonna stay at the nicest hotel, oh blah blah, then that's not realistic. Like,
Yeah, it's not sustainable unless you're like making money like that.
yeah, so it's just like I think you can do whatever you put your mind to and whatever you truly want. But if you really
Absolutely.
don't like and then another thing for people that are wanting to travel but are too scared to, another thing I tell people because I've had a lot of people reach out to me like, oh, like I'm too scared to do that solo travel, right? Um, I recommend people just fly out to the country, and once you arrive, go to the hostel, hang out, and if you hate it, fly back because you have that money. And
Yeah.
every person I've convinced to just fly there, and I'm like, bro, just fly back if you hate it. They end up never like wanting to leave.
Wow, that's
Um,
really good advice. I might have to try.
because like I was so nervous, like because my first like big solo trip was 6 months in Asia,
Hmm.
and before that, I've only like done like a 4 day solo trip in my entire life, and that was in Arizona. So I was like super paranoid, like a whole nother country, first time traveling alone, first time getting visas, first time like getting an eSIM, like everything, like all of that. It was very overwhelming. I didn't sleep for like the week coming up to the trip. And once I arrived, I wasn't worried at all. Like all the like worry and stress and everything that was built up in my head just like left my body once I arrived. So that's like the other thing. I forgot your other question. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You pretty much answered it, and we've got like a minute and 30 seconds, so it's okay. So basically what you're saying is just like uh well, the second part of the question was like for people who are looking to build a following, but I think that if I can like speak for you, you're essentially just saying just like do it scared, you know, and if you hate it, then you learned something and you can do something else.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's essentially what I'm learning too. And from the other van lifer I talked to, that was pretty much the same thing. It's just like, yeah, you're a human. It's if you've never done something, you're gonna feel like, oh, I don't know how to do this. Perhaps I shouldn't. You should do it scared. And if you don't like it, then you learned something and you can always do something else. Oh gosh, less than a minute. Okay, Cody, this was incredible. Thank you for taking time out of your day to speak with me and to let me pick your brain. I really appreciate it. Good luck on your series. Every time I see your videos on the timeline, I'm like, oh yeah, Cody's doing the thing. Um,
Oh yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for watching that video, you guys. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching.